Hello. Hello. Welcome to our 40th meeting of the year. As we normally do, please take a few minutes to meet and greet fellow Rotarians and other guests. Wow, nice. That's awesome. 1253? Thanks for being here today. Well, I almost hate to shut this party down, but we do need to move on. So before we do our pledge, Richard Stanford is going to read something to you that would be of interest for this Memorial Weekend.
And you can go ahead and sit because it's going to take a little bit, but not too long. My uncle, Richard Lawson, I'm named after him, was the pilot of a B-52 out of Italy, 15th Air Force. As with all those bomber pilots in the war, and all those planes had crews of 10 people. On his plane, of course, he was from Dallas, a fellow from Buffalo, fellow from Gulfport, Mississippi, from Norfolk, Virginia, Detroit, Michigan, Brandon, Minnesota, Leesville, South Carolina, Unionville, Michigan, Prospect, Pennsylvania, Camp Wood, Texas. As all those planes were young men from everywhere. And I want to read just a very short portion of a letter he wrote on April 14th, 1944 from his tent, because it tells you a little bit about what we're going to be talking about today. Dear folks, to my grandparents, his parents, spring has really hit dear old Italy, etc. I've just been down with my enlisted men to check our guns and see if our ship is in tip-top shape. My crew has turned out to be a swell bunch of boys and really good at their job. My tail gunner has credit for an ME-109 already, and if I have anything to say about it, he'll get a promotion out of the deal. All the other officers in the crew have gone to town and are not back yet, so the tent's a kind of a lonesome place tonight. A lot of news about his wife and asking for magazines and asking for this, that, and the other. And he says, I don't know whether I've told you I have a mustache. But anyway, I suppose that most of the young Dallasites are now in the Army. What a day it's going to be when all these boys come home. I don't think any of them plan on getting a raw deal when they get back either. which might not sit so well with the people back home. I don't know. We have it rough, but the boys with the infantry live in hell. It's really awful. I spent the night with Darnell, a friend of his, the other night at the 1st Fighter Group. You could hear the guns all night. I won't read the rest. It's all family stuff. You know, send me magazines. You know, send letters. I would love, Mom, I would love to have that strawberry preserve. I would just love this. Love Richard. And as you might guess, because I'm reading this, he and his entire crew were killed the next day bombing the German oil fields at Ploesti in Romania. And so, you know, those are 10 stories out of 400,000 dead in that war, and later almost over 50,000 in Korea, almost 60,000 in Vietnam, over 10,000 in Desert Storm, Afghanistan, Iraq, leaving behind families, you know, wives, children, mothers, fathers. My mother never got over this. She hoped to the day she died to see her brother again. My grandmother, I was born 5 years later, my grandmother named me after him because she had another boy she could raise in place of the boy she lost. And my grandfather lived a year and basically kind of died of a broken heart at age 54. So those stories tell you, that is the human side of sacrifice. And so I don't want to step on what Cody's going to tell you, because this is a new generation with new insights on sacrifice and defending their country. And I also just wanted to read that because it reminds us that Monday is a lot more than just a day off. So anyway.
Thanks, Richard. Now, if you'd please rise, Past President Paul PIROK is going to lead us in invocation and the pledge.
Thank you, President Jeff. Thank you for that, Richard. My dad was one of those boys in the infantry in Italy in April of 1944. Fortunately, he came home because otherwise I wouldn't be here. But it's obviously a very serious subject. And do we have any concerns that we need to raise, Karen?
I want you to continue to keep former member Leroy Howard in prayers. 97 years old. He had a hip replacement. He came through the surgery, and he's over rehabbing in Ventana and expected to walk out. And he's a veteran.
Okay, Leroy Howard had a hip replacement. He's recovering at Ventana. Hip replacement at 97 is a lot of optimism. Anybody else? All right, if you would bow your heads. Dear God, help us to remember as we enter this Memorial Day weekend. Help us to remember those that have lost their lives and loved ones in Uvalde, Allen, and all of the other places senseless killings have taken place. Help us to remember those that have lost lives and livelihoods in Ukraine, Somalia, and other places at war. Help us to remember those that live under repressive regimes that deny their ability to worship as they please. Help us to remember those everywhere, but certainly those close to home, that are uncertain from where their next meal will come. Help us to remember to live lives of service above self. And finally, help us to remember the sacrifice of those that have given their lives so that we can live in the greatest country on earth. We're eternally grateful to those people and to their families. It's in your name that we pray. Amen. Join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All around
All right, it's that time to share our joys and things we might be happy about. Richard, do you want to help with happy? Oh, there's Scott. By the way, somebody bought a raffle ticket, a loan raffle ticket, and they've lost it. And I'm going to raffle it off at starting at $5. Is it yours, Sean? All right.
Thank you. Any takers? Surely somebody out there has something to be happy about. Not today. Okay.
Seeing no happy news.
Oh, here we go.
3-day weekend.
It took him a while to think of it, but he's got it. I'd like to, Sean.
I'm happy because Paul McFARLAND connected me with the Salvation Army Band, and that's been some fun for me. So hats off to Paul McFARLAND.
Thank you, sir. Mark Asher.
I'll go. My oldest is graduating from high school this weekend, so all right, here we go.
Oh, Barb.
Well, I'm happy because you saw two of my granddaughters here earlier. It's Addison's 7th birthday today. She chose to go get a cupcake with Pop instead of staying at Rotary, but happy birthday to Addison today.
Bad choice. Anybody else? Oh, yes, sir.
Well, I'm happy that my father and mother-in-law, they just came out here from Jordan yesterday actually, yeah. And they're visiting with us for a couple of months, you know, so.
Nice.
Wonderful. Richard.
And I'm happy my church, Highland Park Methodist, is going to have 3 who did survive the war. C.C. Colley of our club, Hap Goodman, CC's turning 101 a little late, Brad Bradley, who's turning 101 in July, and Hap Goodman, who's turning 102 in September. They're all going to be featured for our Memorial Day concert. Our 3 World War II vets.
Very cool. Thank you, Richard.
My 3-year-old daughter's graduating the 3s class at daycare, and she thinks she's 18 years old already. So going through that as a dad of a daughter already. So.
Thank you, Evan.
Any others? Seeing none, let's move on to introduction of guests. If you're a guest, please stand and be introduced.
Start over here. Back to you, Jim.
My father-in-law, he's an agricultural engineer that is retired, and he is visiting with us from Jordan, and he's my guest here today. Thank you.
It's good to have you.
This is my good friend Marie Diaz. She does a lot of things. She's an entrepreneur. She owns some med spas if you need to go get a little facial. Look how pretty her face is. I mean, come on. She also runs CEO clubs here in
owner of a magazine here in University Park. Her name is Robin Lynn, and give her a big hello.
Oh, got you, Mark.
I am happy to introduce you to my mom. This is Dee Hackler. So her most important job, obviously, was me. But, and you cannot ask her any questions, no follow-up questions. But no, I'm happy to have her here today. She works for a company called Bottom Line Concepts, and they do employee retention credits. They've gotten $6 billion plus back to businesses with the employee retention credit. So my mom, Dee Hackler, please say hi.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mark. Is that it?
Thanks for all the guests that are here. If you enjoy yourself today, we would love for you to come back, and please consider joining our club. Next up, Miss Tiffany Richmond with this week's Marketplace Advertiser.
Good afternoon, everyone, and to all our men and women who have served, thank you so much for your sacrifices. Today's Marketplace advertiser is Kyle Marmellin with Marsh McLennan Agency. Marsh McLennan Agency, or MMA, is your go-to provider of business insurance, employee and health benefits, retirement, and private client insurance solutions. We cater to organizations and individuals who are seeking boundless opportunities in today's ever-changing world. During these unprecedented times, Rotarians have wholeheartedly embraced unconventional approaches and conveyed powerful messages of strength, vulnerability, and resilience. Similar to the Rotary Club of Park Cities, which is dedicated to making a positive impact on the community, Marsh McLennan Agency is driven by an unwavering commitment to supporting our clients, colleagues, and communities during pivotal moments. As a comprehensive insurance brokerage, we collaborate closely with businesses in North Texas, working hand in hand to develop comprehensive programs and tailored solutions that address their specific needs in business, insurance, and employee health and benefits. MMA seamlessly combines the personalized service approach of a local consultant with the immense global resources of Marsh McLennan, the world's leading professional services firm. To learn more, don't hesitate to contact Kyle Marmellin directly. He is ready to engage in a conversation about how MMA can become a valuable partner for you and your business. Thank you.
All right, next up, past President Happy Franklin to introduce a couple new members.
Happy Friday. I'm so thrilled to introduce Majors Don and Paul McFarland. We are so thrilled to have them back. You know, Paul was a member, a longtime member, and then they got called away to Virginia. Fortunately, they only had to be there for 2 years. And so we are really thrilled to have them both in our club now. And let's give them a warm round of applause. They are both majors at the Salvation Army, and soon we'll get to hear their new member talk. And
well, since Paul's already passed the test, you get to start out with a permanent badge. So welcome back. We're glad to have you. And Don, you haven't passed the test yet. So as you can see, it's a thick book that you need to learn and rehearse. And there'll be a test on Monday afternoon.
I'm a
Straight A student, she says. Well, great. We are so thankful that both of you are here. Welcome.
Yes. Hold on.
Thanks, guys. Okay, where's Jill Jordan? She's a busy lady and going to tell us all about the 4th of July parade.
All right, we are getting close to the 4th of July parade, but first things first. For our parade, we always have a grand marshal, and we've had the tradition in the last few years of having a really super nice luncheon in honor of the grand marshal, and we invite the previous grand marshals and other dignitaries from Highland Park and University Park. So it's an opportunity for the club to really shine. Now, sometimes we've gone off and had the luncheon at other places, but this has been an unusual year where we were at other places for a while. So this year we're going to have the luncheon here, but it's not going to be your typical luncheon. There will be no buffet. It's going to be served family style. So you'll come in, find a table, and we will be seated. We'll be served appetizers, 3 different entrees, couple different desserts, several vegetables. So for all of that, we are going to have to pay extra, so sorry about that. It's going to be $34. We made it an unusual number because that's what the restaurant gave us, so we're not making money for the club on it. So if you're a cash person, You got to aim for $34, which might mean that you need 2 20s, and I've already warned them, make sure you hit plenty of 1s next week. I also noticed that they have a credit card machine now, so no more of that writing business. So for those of us like me who's a credit card person, they've got a machine. So it should go a little bit faster than normal. Now, we do need you to go online to the club's website and make your reservation because we do need a head count for the food. So you don't have to pay online. We'll pay here, but go online, make your reservation, and we'll see you next week, and we'll honor this year's Grand Marshal. So thank you all.
Thanks, Jill. John Whaley is up to introduce a couple of very special guests today.
Thank you. It is my pleasure to announce the winners of the Service Above Self scholarships for 2023. Each student will receive $2,000 to be used to defray their college educational expenses. Nyasha Griffin is described by a Hillcrest teacher as one of the most genuine, sincere, and honest students. Nyasha, why don't you stand up and, excuse me. One of the most genuine, sincere, and honest students she has ever taught. This teacher goes on to say that Nyasha is in the top 1% of the thousands of students she has taught in the last 15 years. Yet she doesn't use this gift only to her advantage. Nyasha will do whatever it takes to help others achieve. Thank you. One of the college advisors at Hillcrest talks about her infectious energy. He states that she is charismatic, witty, intellectually curious. He goes on to say that her laugh is contagious and shakes the entire room. She is a multifaceted young woman with interests that vary from politics to math. Even her nickname is Prez. Her college advisor says that her abilities to put herself out there have broken boundaries at Hillcrest. So, wow. Carolina Wyndham. Carolina has distinguished herself as a leader. Why don't you stand up, Carolina? At Hillcrest, she is currently Senior Class Vice President and Vice President of the Interact Club. She is a co-founder of Spanish Tutoring. One teacher described Carolina as the definition of strength, growth, and influence. She is described as a motivating force in the classroom. One professor says she will leave an imprint on the soul of those she encounters in life. Wow. Carolina leads outside the school doors. Through Interact, she is focused on community enrichment and service. A professor states that she makes me feel proud of my career choice. All of Hillcrest is rooting for her success. Nyasha and Carolina, we are simply delighted that we can honor your abilities, believing that you will continue to carry out the principles of Rotary. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Hey, when we're done, would you all mind coming over in front of this and we get some pictures? That'd be great. Thank you. A couple quick announcements. Just as a reminder, the awards and installation banquet will occur on Friday, June 23rd. At 11:30 is when food's going to be ready. The meeting's going to start at 12. So if you remember last year, it takes a little while to get through that line. So please get there a little early to get your food. Meeting will start promptly at noon. Wednesday, June 28th, Agape Pharmacy is doing the 6-month inventory. There's 2 shifts, so please sign up. They don't need a lot of folks, but we do need to make sure we have enough folks there to be able to get it done. Friday, June 30th, there will be no noon meeting because of 4th of July celebration that following week. So at this time, would you mind drawing today's raffle winner? Wonderful. Kathy, you've got the... All right, so right over here. So as a reminder, if your number gets drawn, you get a draw from the remaining cards that are left in the deck. This week, our total is now over $1,200. We've exceeded what it was last time around, so I'm excited about that. Monies raised will be going towards our foundation. If you happen to win and draw the ace of spades, you will get half of the pot. The other half goes to the foundation. Winning ticket. Sean, I'm sorry. He didn't win. The number is, last four numbers, 6146. Must be present to win. Here we go. We got a winner. John Brown. Oh, he didn't draw the ticket. He didn't draw the ticket. That's not it.
Oh, that's not it.
I'm just kidding.
I had to bring everything up to you, so I wouldn't have to admit that I came directly from the gym to here.
Oh, John, you look great. We're glad you're with us today.
Okay, let's see if I can find it.
Oh, three of diamonds. That is your souvenir for today. Thanks for coming. Thanks to all of you who have played today. At this time, Evan Altimus is our chair of the day, and he's going to introduce this week's speaker.
So I wanted to talk to everyone first about how the process went with finding a speaker. So it's true military fashion, I guess. So I had a friend of mine, Tyler Huffstetler, who was supposed to come. And so we talked about it, and really easy, got it set up and everything. I'm like, oh, this is easy, okay. And of course, like in the military, we have a plan going in and we start, and then of course everything goes south and you have to figure it out and scramble and adjust on the fly. And so Tyler's in the hospital. I found out Thursday. So I'm sitting there Thursday afternoon yesterday, and I'm like, how am I going to find a speaker? Like, this is crazy, whatever. And so I started going through veterans who I know on my phone, and I came across like 1, 2, 3, and they're all like, yes, I want to speak, but I'm not there today. Can I speak a few weeks from now? And it only took about 3 names until I found Carry the Load. Great group. We participated in their event last year, walked around. So in true fashion, you ask another veteran to help you. It only takes a few before you get an answer. So Carry the Load stepped up right away, had a great gentleman. I wanted to introduce Cody Bandars. And like a true military millennial, I'm reading his bio off my phone instead of a paper. So these are the group of leaders you're stuck with going forward, but we can figure it out most of the time. So Cody Bandars from Carry the Load. I grew up in Omaha, Nebraska, enjoying all the pastimes of the Midwest, hunting, fishing, football, and stomping through the woods. Nearing the end of high school, he gave serious thought to joining the Marine Corps with a few close friends. They did, he did not. Our nation wasn't at war, but things were boiling internationally. Instead, with the suggestion of his parents, he chose the safe option, college. While Cody was attending the University of Nebraska, 9/11 unfolded. After graduating college with an engineering degree, he relocated to Dallas to start his professional career. Still holding the heart to serve his country, made the decision to enlist in the Navy and pursue a contract to become a Navy SEAL. He served 7 years as a Navy SEAL, and currently lives in Dallas and serves as ambassador for Carry the Load. Please welcome Cody Bandars.
All right, I think you can hear me now. Great, thank you for the introduction. Thank you all for having me today. It's an honor, one that I take seriously when I get to come share the vision of Carry the Load with a great room of folks like yourselves. Thank you for everything we did, the prayer, Richard sharing that from World War II, that's special to me. I know everyone here. I would like to acknowledge, looking around, I can tell that we have a lot of veterans in our midst, maybe some former first responders as well, and I'd like to acknowledge all of you in the service that you put forth that went before younger generations like Evan and myself, and all of you who hold those families in your hearts that may be serving today or that have paid that ultimate sacrifice, so thank you. Here comes the true test. Can I work this remote? All right, so you guys can read. I don't read these much just because I know the stories. It's part of my life. So Carry the Load started in 2011. A good friend of mine who had a lot to do with me joining the SEAL teams, which I had the pleasure of doing, Clint Bruce. Having served as a capacity as a Naval Special Warfare Officer, he obviously post 9/11, lost a lot of friends, and I was actually working for him in 2009. So this is my personal part of this story that you don't get to read about. I'll get to tell it to you today. So I was working for Clint in 2009. I'd made that decision by that point that I was going to do what I felt my heart's calling to do, which was to serve my country, and Clint helped me realize that doing that to the best of my abilities would be to do so in the SEAL teams. And we came back from the Memorial Day weekend, and Clint calls everybody into the doghouse, as he called it, where all the Marines worked, and he tells us, hey, I've got this idea, something happened to me this weekend, and we're going to do something to bring back the heart of Memorial Day. You can find these stories online if you guys look. Carrie Lowe does a really great job of putting this media out, but basically, Clint was at a Memorial Day gathering, a barbecue cookout, and for him, Memorial Day isn't a happy day, it's a day of reverence. It's not about the day off school, it's not about the sale at Home Depot, and it's not about, water skiing. It's about 18 friends that he'd lost to date in war. And so it was becoming uncomfortable for Clint, his wife noticed, and then it kind of became uncomfortable for others, and no problem. She kind of encouraged him to go ahead and leave the party and go figure out what he could do about the problem he was facing. And that problem in that time was that he kind of felt this country he had fought for and that his friends had died for had maybe lost the value or the meaning, the true meaning behind Memorial Day. And so what Clint knew how to do in that day was he went and put a rucksack on with 1 pound for every one of his friends, and he started walking around White Rock Lake. And he came around a corner, kind of head down, gutting through the pain. The pain is kind of where the healing is for some of us. And up approaches him, a veteran, probably a World War II Korean War vet, and he stopped him and he looked at him and he said, "Son, who are you carrying?" And so that was Clint's aha moment of, okay, he just put into words what all I could do was put into action, and so I'm gonna run with that. So 2011 rolls around, and Clint and a good friend of ours, Stephen Hawley, another former SEAL from the academy, started an organization called Carry the Load. And their vision was simply awareness. It was helping people in Dallas, which is where they were, honor the sacrifices of those who'd given their lives for our freedom. And so they walked around White Rock Lake, and of course that picked up some steam, and it expanded. And so that's it. The vision of Carry the Load, the purpose, the mission that you guys would join with me in is to connect Americans to meaningful ways to show appreciation and acknowledgement of the sacrifices of those who have paid the ultimate sacrifice to keep us free. So there's a few fun stats. Since this started in 2011, we've raised over $38 million. We've had over 234,000 participants, and we carry a 93% rating from whoever rates charities. So that's probably the standard. I don't think you should be getting lower than that. So what that means for us in a practical sense is our mission's threefold now: awareness, continuum of care, and education. And I'd like to kind of go through those and break them down for you. So being that awareness is our #1 priority, what has become of this walk around White Rock Lake with friends and family now has spawned to 5 relays that all start on or around the 1st of May and walk their way all the way to Dallas with a team of people carrying flags and the names of our fallen, with stops every 2 to 5 miles, letting Americans see what we're doing. We get these big tour buses with pictures on them and of our veterans and ones that we've lost, and first responders as well. And we do that for awareness. That relay is not to raise money. That relay is the reason. It's to show people a way that they can honor veterans. And so kind of that, what that looks like is people, I've been blessed to be on this relay now for 4 years in Minneapolis, West Point, New York, Manhattan, Omaha, Nebraska, Des Moines, Iowa, Chicago. Is you'll get to a relay stop if you're walking the flags in, and people are waiting there for you because they heard about it, because awareness is our thing. So we've done our part and told the news stations or the fire departments, the police departments, and they show up and they say, hey, what do I do? And I say, who are you walking for? And we give them a bib, and they can write who they want to honor with their walk, and they can tell us about them, and we all get together and we say a few things, then we just walk. And people drive by and they honk and they stop us. Hey, what the heck are you guys doing there? People give us donations while we're doing it. And that's this small idea that Clint and Stephen had 12 years ago has now become a national movement to bring back the true meaning of Memorial Day. So that's the awareness, and I believe that's arrived. Just talking to Jeff here, and there's still people here in Dallas where this whole thing started and ends up this weekend, and there's people that still don't know about it, and that's okay, but it's our job, to tell them. And our corporate sponsors are the ones that pay for this awareness campaign. It costs a lot of money to put 5 relay teams on the road for 30 days. And our corporate sponsors foot 100% of that bill, meaning that all the peer-to-peer fundraising we do where people sign up to be a load carrier and raise funds on our behalf, all that money goes directly to our second program, which is Continuum of Care. Continuum of Care is the net result of what kind of came with this awareness program, was people saying, what can I do? I want to give money. The money was kind of this bonus. It was Clint and Stephen wanting to honor all those that served our country and their families, and help them realize that sacrifice is held dearly in appreciation by American people. Well, this money was kind of the outpouring of that. And so what they immediately did was they set up a nonprofit board that we take applications every year, and we vet nonprofits that are doing their part to heal the physical, mental, spiritual wounds of our surviving military, police, veterans, first responders, and their families of those that have lost them, and we help them. Everything from veteran transition and job placements to organizations that build homes, train service dogs, support Gold Star families. And it's important to note that early on in this process, this became not just a military thing, but a first responder thing. The military kind of fights the away battles, and the first responders and police fight it here. The third program I'd like to tell you about is our education program. We call that Carry the Flag. Something I'm really passionate about, and that's really taken hold in the last few years, and it's an out-of-the-box, free of charge curriculum for Boy Scout troops or youth groups or sports teams or after-school programs, and all it needs is one adult to sponsor it and get a group of kids together, and it'll walk them through, kind of 3 things, like what does the flag stand for? Why is patriotism important, and why is it a good thing, and what does service mean? Pardon me. Don't cough into these next. Allergies are getting me. Part of the challenge we face as Americans, and why I'm thankful for clubs, like the Rotary Club, is our kids and their kids, the next generations, aren't just going to kind of pick it up. Like, they have to be shown a way when it comes to patriotism in our history. We have to tell the stories, we have to say the names, we have to remember, and we have to instill values in those that come after us. They're not just going to pick it up off their iPhone and watching TV. Or if any of them end up getting jobs. I think we have a few here that will, that'll change the world for us. And I'm part of it. Hey, I was born in 1982. I get to call myself a millennial by default. I identify more as a Gen Z guy, or whatever they say. Gen X, whatever. I can. It's all about identity. But so this education program, it's our way of helping our youth, you know, academically and through a service project, learn these ideals, learn our nation's history, learn about the Constitution, and why that stuff's important. Susan, are you here? What was that? Couple things you guys can read about Stephen Holly and Clint Bruce. I can't say enough great things about these guys. They're the founders of our organization, both Navy SEAL officers, both football players at the Naval Academy, and just great dads, great Americans, and just proud. They've never taken a dime from Carry the Load. All they've done is lead it. You can read more about them at carrytheload.org. See what else I have for you guys here. It's a lot to read, and that was a picture of me, so I'm going to skip over that. So that brings us to the Memorial May campaign, which is going on right now. So this year we kicked off these 5 relays. We have a Midwest route, a Mountain States route, and a West Coast route, an East Coast route, and a New England route. So now we hit all 48 states. We cover over 20,000 miles walking, cycling, and riding through America to make this mission possible. So this week is the Dallas Memorial March. This is like the capstone Super Bowl for Carry the Load. 30 to 40,000 people at one point or another between Sunday at 3 and 24 hours later on Monday will come through and participate in this. And so what that means to us is that's where our nonprofit partners, our corporate sponsors, and then all of you and anyone in America that wants to come to this can kind of see what we are, and that is, and really what that is, it's our storyboards. It's our 24-inch by 36-inch color photos of our fallen that anybody can submit to be created that we cover, and they're posted up and down the Katy Trail in uptown Dallas, and we walk and we read those names and we remember them. There's a graphic of the relay route. Again, all this is at carrytheload.org, but that just shows you kind of the mileage we cover. That route changes every year. You know, we have one guy whose full-time job all year, one of our 6 employees, he's got the job all year of just this route and coordinating with local governments and our corporate sponsors that wanted to come through their town and police departments and fire departments to make this happen. So there's a look for it. And all it takes to be a part of this is just to show up. You can absolutely register, give some money, find somebody to support, do it in somebody's honor. But if you haven't, I encourage you, please just come down to Rivershawn Park and see what that's like. You know, the question that we ask ourselves and that we ask people on the relay and that kind of makes our mission noteworthy and personal as we ask folks, who you carrying? Unfortunately, for a lot of us in the veteran community and the first responder police communities, is that every year that list grows, it seems. It'll be all right. This year that grew for me. I lost a good friend of mine and a former Navy SEAL that I actually met the first day of boot camp. We were rack mates, went through training together, checked into SEAL Team 10 together. He was in a parachuting accident in a training in Marina, Arizona, while he was at SEAL Team 6. Just a fantastic guy, father of 2 young kids. One of the best I knew. Mike Ernst, Chief Special Operator Michael Ernst, and we lost him in February this year. So that's still raw for me. So one of the unintended consequences of Carry the Load is that kind of that medicinal, sorry, enlisted guy, the medicinal healing that a lot of us get from participating in this and saying our fallen's names and comforting those families and keeping America connected to that sacrifice. So I'll open this up for a brief Q&A if there is any. Got it. Thank you. Oh man, they took the bait.
Took the bait, yeah, sucker. Cody, thanks for being here. We support you. It's a great event. If y'all have not been down to Reverchon Park, it's phenomenal. It gets bigger every year, right? I'm just curious, what's the next goal, big picture for Carry the Load? In other words, is there anything that you guys are striving? I know more people, more awareness, grow, raise money. But is there anything legislatively you guys want to do, or is there a next step for the 501c3? So that's my question. What's the next goal?
Hey, that's a great question, and we get asked that a lot. We are 100% apolitical. We do not get into that. However, there's a lot of things out there that affect the veteran first responder communities that we like to put the right people in front of, if you will. We are asked a lot of those questions, and we're asked for, we don't make political statements with regard to candidacy or bills that are in legislation or any of that. What we do is we do a lot of interfacing with the VA and with local governments who ask our opinions, and we can't give that as an organization, but we do as individuals. I've been part of a few, kind of dinners and panels when thinking about specifically here in Texas things we can do to care for our veterans better. One of our goals, top of mind right now, is absolutely the education program. As we graduate more and more kids from high school every year that are about to be free and independent citizens of the country and voters, and so that's always on our mind, is how we can expand this and get kids at a younger age involved in this movement, not to support Carry the Load per se, but to be involved in the participation of their own democracy and freedom. And then two, yeah, I think as far as legislation goes and politically, 501c3, all the things, we've been kind of put in a position where we do have a lot of influential people around, and not, I don't mean influential on the famous side. I mean people that, states representatives, local governments, senators, congressmen, the whole deal, that are asking us if they can either be a part of it or what we would like to be a part of. And our answer is we want to be a part of supporting families, and so that's why we put our dollars towards these other nonprofits after we vet them. But thank you for the question.
I just have to say I really support your idea about the education and the patriotism. Having just come back from France and seeing Normandy and Omaha Beach, the memorial, which just gets me upset, it was just a transformative experience, the way the U.S. government has done those museums and how they've just approached it. So please just carry on with that same spirit.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yes, mine is not a question, but a thank you. Lynn Berman, the Executive Director for Attitudes and Attire, is a member of this club. She's not here today. I think she's resting up for your event tomorrow. It's a big stress for her.
Right.
But we appreciate all the support you've given our organization, because you've supported female veterans returning home, and that's a big, big thank you.
Absolutely. Just to say, that's a great club, a great organization to mention. Attitudes and Attire, for those who don't know, prepare female veterans for transition, be it through wardrobes, resume writing, job interviews, mentorship. And we have a very close connection that really hit home with us with Karina, and a veteran who was on her last leg. The first year that we did our relay, we had one guy walking that whole relay from New York to Dallas, and she saw that he was doing that, and that was enough. We have a whole story about her if you want to find it on our website, Karina. But she was going to take her life, and then she saw our friend Coleman walking, to honor our veterans and Memorial Day, and she said, "I'm going to go find that guy. He's got a reason to live, and I can find one too." So got to know her quite well over this. So thank you for saying that.
First, I want to thank you for your service and the task that you've tacked on here to move your career and all forward. Having retired from the Navy, I'm very familiar with the SEAL program, and this is off the subject a little bit, but I think people are always interested in and very knowledgeable about part of the SEAL training that you all go through. But which part of the program out in California did you find the most challenging, I'm going to say?
Sure.
That's number one. And then my last comment is the Navy Sea Cadets, of which I'm heavily involved in, reflects the same thing for young people to become better citizens and enjoy patriotism. Personally know Clint Bruce, and I approve of everything you're doing.
That's great. Thank you very much for that. Thank you for your service as one that went before. I would like to say, you know, I feel like it was an honor and a privilege to serve my country, especially with and alongside the men I did. And Clint, this kind of rubbed off on me from Clint was, thanks for being worth it, all of you, because you are. And I think sometimes that's something that we lose sight of, but every time I lose a friend, I just think, man, are we worth that sacrifice? And I think the answer is yes, and we have to be, and we have to strive to do that. We owe it to our dead to live well, and that's something that grows in me every year. So thank you for your service. The SEAL program, there's a lot out there that you can experience through reading and some videos and stuff. There's a portion of our program called Hell Week. That's, I don't know, 5.5, 6 days of being awake and having a lot of fun with real Navy SEALs when you're not one yet. I bring up Hell Week because it wasn't the hardest part for me. For me, it was the 7 weeks of getting there, the 7-week grind of NDOC and the first 3 weeks of first phase. And not because there was any one thing there in particular, but it was this realization every day on 2 to 3 hours of sleep that nothing was going to get easier. It got harder every single day, which is one of the SEAL slogans, if you will, is the only easy day is yesterday. And it's not because yesterday was easy. It's because you don't have to face it today. It's in the past. And then the follow-on to that is that it gets harder every day. And I tell you that, you know, we have a selection program that lasts 6 months called BUDS, and then you have another 7 months of another selection program called SQT, SEAL Qualification Training. And then I went to a 13-week language school to learn Persian Farsi, and then I got to my SEAL team, and they took that shiny trident off my chest, and they locked it in a bird cage, and then painted it blue, and then I got to start this whole thing called being a new guy. And that got really hard, and it was just every single phase of it got harder, and I think that's, for me, I will say that the 5.5-mile swim was no easy task. If you want to pick things out of, you know, specific events, 5.5-mile swimming was hard. Being in Alaska and doing a rewarming drill in 28-degree water, that was hard. Rewarming was we were in a maritime environment doing winter assault and survival, and part of that was learning how to get yourself and your buddy warm in the event that you fell into 28-degree water or were forced to march into it by instructors, and we did. So we went out, and this was the most painful thing I did as a SEAL was we walked out into till our ears were wet, and once we all got out there, we had to dunk our heads in the ocean, 28 degrees. I don't know how cold the air was. I don't think it mattered with 28-degree water. And we sat there, and we were supposed to be in the water for 10 minutes, and when we sang songs for about 2 minutes, and then it was just hanging on for dear life, and it was cold, and then you run out of that, and you and your partner have to go unpack your bags to find, one guy's got to set up a tent, the other guy's got to find his stove and get a fire started, and then you get in that tent and make each other warm. That was the most painful thing I did. Getting to Hell Week was the hardest part. It was just that 6 to 7 week grind. Just realizing that there's not one thing that's going to break me here. I'm not going to let it. I kind of stepped onto that beach saying, hey, they're either going to cut my legs off so I can't continue, or they're going to kill me. And if they kill me, I just hope they don't eat me. But they'll drag me off the beach, and I won't have to quit. But that was just the mentality I had. So grinding through that day after day, when nothing got easier, it always got harder. That was the hard part for me. Thank you all.
A little bit taller. Hey, Cody, thank you so much for being here today. A book is going to be placed in the McShannon Elementary Library in your honor for speaking to us today.
Oh, well, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it. So if we could take a minute for anybody in here that served in our armed services in any capacity, would you please stand and be recognized by the group? Thank you guys so much for serving for us. I didn't mention this earlier, but just remember, Happy Bucks this month goes to the 4th of July parade for North Texas Food Bank. So if you haven't made a donation this month, there's a QR code in the hub, and you get an electronic version as well, so if you don't get one today, please make a donation to benefit 4th of July in North Texas Food Bank. That will be at least doubled, and we're trying to get those numbers up. So please contribute this month. So you got a few days left. Oh, and that reminds me, a few days left to pay your dues. Thank you for remembering that. All right, so next week, Jan Langbine will be here as our 2023 Grand Marshal for our Grand Marshal Luncheon, and Tammy Kauser will be our chair every day. And remember, please register online so that we get a good head count of just how many people we need to set up for. And at this time, Don, would you like to lead us in the four-way test? Yeah, come on up.
So the dangerous thing is I've got the mic now. And is Cody already gone? Oh, because Paul and I ran summer camp, and one of our camp staff members always wanted to be in the military, but he broke his back playing football, so he was never allowed. And he carried that guilt with him and carried the load. The load he carried the very first time he did it was, I never got to serve. And he's going to be carrying the load this weekend too, so we're very proud of him. Would you join me in the four-way test of things we think, say, or do? First, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? Fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Welcome. Hey, John, you want to get in a picture over here?